Me here in that weather. Very brave of you. I wonder how many of you see the touch points before Shabbos, right? There's the touch points that usually Rabbi Wolbeck's sending, sometimes Rabbi Posner. I see it like for 2 years, I guess, since we were here. So they just enter us for the list, so we get in the mail. So I see it. It's kind of a hobby I have. And in this week, Rabbi Wolbeck tried to connect Tu B'Shvat, Martin Luther King Day, and this week's Parsha, yesterday's Parsha, Parshan B'Shalach. So I'll try to do the same, just in less time, and suggest another direction to connect all of those. I hope it's fine. Maybe it's not, we'll see. I want to start with some misconceptions that I saw in kids' book 2 days ago. We have... I don't know if you know it, PJ library, pajama library, something like that. You know it is for kids. We get in the mail a book once a month. Usually it's related to the holidays, the Jewish holidays. And the last one was about Tu B'Shvat. And in the book there's a young girl that want to plant a tree, because this is what she read in the book about Tu B'Shvat. But she's going out and there's a snow. And she tried to plant the tree and she couldn't. So she asked her grandma, how come? So why is Tu B'Shvat is in the winter if we cannot plant the trees? And the grandma answered, because in Eretz Israel right now there is a spring. Now, we also did an activity in Friday in the high school, in the middle school here, me and my wife. And we asked the kids some true or false questions. And one of the questions was, in Israel, Tu B'Shvat is in the spring, true or false? 80 or 90% true.
What did you call the name of the game?
Oh, very cool. True or false because of Tu B'Shvat. Thanks, Rabbi Pada. Thanks for the reminder. Yeah.
How did you leave that out?
Yeah, you know what? And have a great week. This is like, okay. 80% of them said true. But I hope you know that it's false, totally false. If you open every Israeli news site right now, there's so many rains. There's definitely winter outside over there. They speak about snow, not like here obviously, but some snow in the high places. I used to live in a Etzion block, Gush Etzion, so we did have snow sometimes a year. So, Tu B'Shvat is not in the spring in Israel. This is something I want to say. And now the obvious question is, so why are we celebrating Tu B'Shvat in that time? Good question, right? There's a famous bracha called Birkat HaIlanot, the blessing of the trees. We'll bless that in the beginning of Chodesh Nisan, only like 3 months from now, when the trees actually is growing nice and we can bless on something and we see all the blossom, right? This is the right word for that. We can see all the leaves and everything. So this is the question. And one of the answers, obviously there's some answers, but the answer I like the most is because in Tu B'Shvat we're celebrating the beginning of the process. Even though the trees are now naked, we cannot see anything. Most of them look very poor right now. But we know that this is the time, all the rain and all the winter will bring that blossom that we'll see in Chodesh Nisan. So this is something very hard to celebrate the beginning, to acknowledge the start of a process. And I want to connect that to the things I said. So first of all, Martin Luther King, and he's not the only one, but I think all the big people during the history that could bring the change needed to have the ability to see the beginning of a process, to see that right now, even though we're not in a good place, we're in the beginning of something that will bring us to a change. I'm not really strong in the history of like in America history, but from the little stuff that I read, the I Have a Dream speech of Martin Luther King, in that time, still the black man didn't have so many rights. He just said, now I have a dream and this is going to happen. I'm acknowledging the beginning of the process. Another thing about, there's famous thing that Bnei Israel are saying before they're getting the Torah, which is Na'aseh v'nishma. By the way, we're getting the Torah this week in Yitro, but the words Na'aseh v'nishma are only next week in Parshat Mishpatim. I'm going to speak on that next week, don't worry. But the ability of Bnei Israel to say Na'aseh v'nishma before they know, but Na'aseh v'nishma, like we're going to hear that and then we're going to do it, even though we don't know yet what it is, it's also acknowledging the beginning of a process. we're willing to be there, even though we don't know yet what will be the way, what we're going to have in the end of the process. Now, Rabbi Wahlberg eventually connect that through trees by speaking about the roots of Matan Shefler, the roots of Am Yisrael and everything. I want to speak about other direction about trees. There's a beautiful sentence in Masechet Ta'anit that says, "Leolam yeh adam rach kakane ve'al yeh kashe ka'erez." A person should always be soft like a reed, and it should not be stiff like a cedar. Yes, this is how he said. And I think one of the ways to be able to move along with that process, you're in the beginning right now, you can't see the end of it, but you know you're in the beginning of the process, you're acknowledging, okay, this is the beginning, now how do I can move it? How can I move like all the troubles, all the bad things, all the hard things I'm going to have? My thoughts, when I thought about that, my thoughts went to the peoples that were in Dallas, in the shul in that time, in Beth Israel, the case that was last night. I mean, what do you think at that time, in that horrible time, you're being kidnapped right now and you don't know what to do, or any other hard situation? So this is one thing you can do, and I take that like from the tree world. Be soft like a reed and not hard like cedar. The difference between hakaneh, the reed, and the erez, the cedar, when there's storms coming, the cedar is so strong, but the wind is destroying it. But the kaneh, the reed, have the ability just to lay down and come back up. So one ability, and I know it's not like the only answer, but it's something to take and to think about, it's to be a little bit more accepting of the reality, a little bit more relaxing, taking back and count on Hashem that things will be right. This is right too, to Shevat, that even though the trees are naked, we believe that eventually they're gonna blossom. It's true to Martin Luther King. Again, he hoped that eventually it will be fine. And it's true to also to Bnei Israel before Kabbalat Torah. And I bless us all that we'll know when to be soft like a reed and not stiff like a cedar. Have a great week.